Okay, and we also have these mics as well, so I'm going to hand these around for obviously people when they want to speak. So, yeah, welcome everybody. Very, very big turnout today, very big event. I appreciate you all coming. So this is the weekly AI Founders meeting. So we call it AI Founders, but really it's for anyone who is interested in AI. We have some amazing engineers, we have some investors this week as well, and we also have some people who are just learning about AI. So we've had some really cool stuff happen this week. Of course, Grok 4 came out. There's been some upgrades to Google Veo 3. And Adam is kindly going to talk us through at the end how to think about investing. So if you want to get some investment for maybe one of your projects, what do you need to be thinking about, and what projects are really going to work going into 2026 and 2025, and which ones are you best to kind of leave? We often talk about wrappers, which ones are going to be successful, so that should be a really, really interesting conversation. So we always start with a little bit of an introduction round. So because we've got so many people, I think if sort of people want to speak, I think we'll introduce everybody here, and I know some people are sort of listening in, so we'll do that. And also just be conscious of time as well, so we'll try and keep our introductions to a minimum, as we've got such an amazing, great turnout. So shall we start at the front? Well, let me start with me first, actually. So who am I? I'm Harry. I am a tech journalist. I wrote for the Guardian and for the Decoder, and these days I'm an AI consultant as well, so I go around the world helping businesses implement AI in their systems and processes and help people think about AI, and very much in the AI space and in the thought leadership space as well. So thinking about AI and how we actually apply it in real life use cases. So do you want to pass this mic around?
Hey, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Dougie. I run an agency called Razor. We help businesses streamline their workflows and use AI to help them automate it. We recently put together a bunch of our tools into a content creation kit, and now it's a portal. We'd love to talk to anybody who's interested in streamlining content creation.
A bit. Good to see you, Max.
Yeah, good to see you too. Perfect match for me. I met Douglas yesterday. My name's Max. I'm a content creator for brands on TikTok.
Do you want to try this one? See if this one works better.
Hello.
There we go. There we go.
My name's Max. I'm a content creator for brands on TikTok.
Hello everybody, I'm Shar, visiting here from Las Vegas. I work with Adam at Infinity as general partner, and I'm CEO of a company called Zero Hiring. My co-founder is based here in Bali, and we've got some of the team here, so excited to be here with you tonight.
Hey guys, most of you probably know me. So I'm Chief AI Officer at AI Group, and my new boss is sitting next to me, so I'll be switching to Zero soon.
Happy to have you back, Alan, always.
Hey y'all, my name is Javeria. I flew in from New York yesterday. I work with Louis, so I know a lot of you know him. We're implementing AI workflows on Wall Street within alternative assets. Glad to be here.
Hi everybody, I'm Mulkan. I flew out from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia this week, and I'm a full stack engineer for an AI company. These are my teammates. So we work on hiring to streamline hiring faster with AI assisted interviews. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, I'm Charles. I'm from Brazil. I'm the CTO of a startup who have a few integrations with AI. And now I'm trying to start a new app, like a side business with AI, like with more powered by AI for mental health and therapy.
Can you get the remote to the television? Because I can't present it.
Hello, my name is David. I work with Harry at the co-founder of Haney World, streamlining businesses and AI. I've also got a marketing agency.
David, do you want to bring the mic closer to your mouth? So we can hear it?
Is that better?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. I also have a digital agency in Australia, and I do some consulting for a few clients. So keep very busy at the moment.
Very busy as ever, David.
Yeah, very busy.
Hello guys, my name is Neil. I'm from France. I came here 4 days ago, I think, yeah. I do SaaS copywriting, so if you have a SaaS and you want the best copywriter in the world, here.
Hi guys, my name is Henry. I'm from Germany, and I'm a tax guy. So I basically help people pay less taxes and move abroad. Escape the matrix. That's what I do.
Hello, I'm Nikita, I'm from Germany too, and I have a personal branding agency doing the organic content for coaches and yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Anadek, I'm from Hungary and I do video editing for business owners, for YouTube and like personal branding.
So we've got some good stuff for YouTube today. So we'll be talking about some YouTube and some AI stuff. So hopefully you should learn some cool stuff today. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Lenny and I've been building AI companions the past year, currently shipping also to providing services that will leverage AI and marketing agencies.
Hey guys, I'm Umut, I'm from Turkey and I live in Germany. We make games, we have a company which makes mobile games and trying to figure out how to implement AI in our work.
Hi everyone, my name is Milena from Bulgaria and I'm in IT right now, but I have 2 side hustles in AI.
Do you want to bring the mic a little bit closer to your mouth?
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Gabriel. I work as a project manager. Hey, my name is Sean. I'm a news publisher, quite successful in that realm, but I really want to be the world's biggest LLM news publisher. Like, actually not have websites with news, but the news influencing the LLM instead. So I think that's the future of news, that you won't actually have news websites where people are visiting, and I think we'll be influencing the LLMs instead.
Hey guys, my name is Lucian, I'm from Madagascar, and right now I'm about to launch a serverless platform where code is listed first, no code full like anything or no flow. So,
Hi, I'm Liv from Bulgaria. I'm in digital marketing and content creation.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm Amelia, I'm from England and I'm a content strategist and social media marketer, and I help businesses and entrepreneurs to be heard online, and I like bringing the human aspect back into personal and business branding.
Good to hear, good to hear.
Hey guys, I am Cherie, I'm also from England. I am a project manager / customer service manager for a lead generation company, and we work with tech companies and help them scale through cold calling in the States.
Are you using any AI with the cold calling, or are you just using manual? Okay. Old school, yeah.
my name is Luke, I'm from Australia. I basically am the head of business development and marketing for a Web3 gaming company coming out of San Francisco.
Hi everyone, my name is Smila. I'm former Vice President for Strategic Talent Acquisition and also talent management. My interest in AI is as it's related to workforce decisions, organizations design, diversity, and management workforce.
Hi everyone, my name is Derek, I'm from Canada, and I use AI for entertainment and visual effects.
I love it. Good to hear that.
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Martine. I'm a full stack indie hacker, and right now I'm working on a crypto integrated video game.
Hello
Are you able to fix the microphone?
Hello.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, and how to use my voice. Hey, I'm Haney. I'm from California. I've been here 6 months. I have a business unrelated to AI Disect, selling that, starting a new business related to shipping and receiving packages in Marley related to AI.
Perfect. And Riggs, do you want to go next?
Is there something coming for you?
Yes.
Today, next week, I work with systems thinking and strategic design.
Is it working?
Yep.
Yeah, I work in systems thinking and strategic design. I work with organizations with large complex change, so also see where using AI to leverage and see what we have to do in that direction.
Great. Got it.
Testing. Hi guys, I'm Gurlane. This is set to go really, really fast. I'll be on stage soon. I'm Gurlane. I'm also from New Zealand. Shout out. Background in machine learning and neuroscience.
So Gerling is going to talk us through in detail all the benchmarks for Grok 4, which is going to be really interesting and a chance for us to get a little bit technical today. So yeah, don't worry, we will obviously try and help everybody through if there are some things that are a little bit technical. If you don't understand something, it's fine, just shout out and we can try and make sure that everybody sort of comes along and gets the benefit of the knowledge. Steve, do you want to go next?
Hi guys, I'm Steve from the UK. I've had my consulting company for 19 years now. Past 2 years I've been in AI, and I've just finished my first consulting project with one of the biggest car companies for 9 months using AI, LLM, speech to text to improve their CRM. Basically, AI agents cost of 20th of the cost of real agents, and their productivity can explode on the back of it. So that was quite interesting, real case implementation. Still waiting on approval. Regulation compliance is a bit of a bitch.
Those famous words, regulation and compliance, that I'm hearing more and more about these days as well. So I sympathise with you, Steve, and we wish you well in getting that project approved.
Thanks, Hi everyone, my name is Yasha. So for the past 5 years I've been a sales trainer for an agency that teaches SaaS companies how they can do cold calling and teaching account executives how to get higher conversion. Thanks for having us.
Perfect.
I'm Sandy. I'm from Miami now, I guess. I have worked in tech for like 25 years now. Everything from ad tech to e-commerce to restaurant tech. Now I'm working with Zero, with Shah over there, helping to automate recruitment.
Love it.
Hey, I'm Daria, and I've been working in customer support industry for more than 7 years for now. And as you may guess, customer support is affected by AI a lot, so I had to downsize my team, and outsource 70% of call center work to AI, so I can say it was efficient. Now I am building a business that is helping scaling companies to handle their customer support with AI and with human involvement.
Love it. And the man who needs no introduction himself, Billy.
I might be familiar here. So, I know I'm the quiet American. So hey, Billy, a serial entrepreneur and academic philosopher or professional nerd. So I'm here representing Unlimited as CEO of our all-in-one AI platform for alternative asset management. I'm also here with some of my best colleagues from the Infinity Constellation, which is a new AI venture holdco based in the US that's just finished raising $27 million. And Adam's going to be telling you more about that later. As you all know, we have a good friend here from AI Founders named Mick, who has just left, the Skrillex-looking guy. As I'm sure you guys know, he launched MoonValley, and I just wanted to let you guys, if you hadn't seen the news, he just closed his
we are actually going to talk about that as the first story.
$80 million round as well. So very cool company here in Bali. I've been here at the AI Founders Meetup since Harry basically had like 5 people sitting out in like this backyard barbecue situation. So very glad to see how much this has grown, and just so proud to see what is definitely like the coolest, most international group of AI people here in Bali.
Well, how to follow up with that? Hi guys, my name is Benedict. I'm from France. I spent 10 years working in sales in tech, and now I do business consulting for different type of business.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and I work in marketing for wedding professionals.
Love it. And should we go to Adam? Okay.
Hi. Hi guys, my name is Barbara. I'm from Chile. I create content among a lot of things.
Hey guys, I'm Adam Haney. I'm visiting from New York. I'm a partner at Infinity. We are a holding company that starts and invests in AI services businesses. We just made an acquisition here in Bali, which we're excited about. So here visiting the team, meeting other people that are building cool things, and I'll talk more about sort of what my work is later.
Did you want to?
I'm sorry.
Hello, I'm JM. I'm one of the team in, my team is Unlimited. I'm one of the full stack engineer here. It's my first time in Bali, and some of the nicest people I've met. So it's
good
really
to
nice.
hear. Wow, well, what a room full of people we have today. I think such an eclectic mix of knowledge and different cultures, so it should be a really interesting one. So, as Billy pointed out, in the AI news this week is our dear friend Mick, who cannot be with us this week. I just WhatsApped him. I think he's in Silicon Valley at the moment. Mick worked on Veo DeepMind 1. Mick worked on Veo 1 at Google DeepMind. So he left Google DeepMind to go and set up his own foundational model called Marley, and his company is MoonValley. And they have not only just released their model to the public, it's on Comfy UI and you can subscribe. They have also, as of today, just raised $85 million extra on top of the $70 million that they'd already raised. So total funding round of $150 million. And I think it was Sean or Lucian pointed out that the company is actually valued at $1 billion. So incredible that we have our friend Mick. So let's have a little bit of a talk through what this means. Why is this model significant? You know, what is different from this model from all the other models? Fortunately, he's not here, but when he was back, I'm sure we're going to give him a massive round of applause for such a huge achievement. A lot of people say they're building AI, and you speak to people and they say, "Oh, I'm building a new AI." This guy actually has built an actual AI. This is not a wrapper, this is an amazing foundational model. So the big sell of MoonValley is that it's ethical. What do I mean by that? I mean it's been trained on publicly available data. So it's a Los Angeles-based AI video startup, but I think the team, forgive me, they're all from Toronto and from there. So they've launched Marley. And obviously it was in beta since March, and it's now released as a monthly credits-based subscription. So it's $14.99 for 100 credits, and $34.99 for 250 credits, and $150 if you want the 1,000 credits. And you can generate clips of up to 5 seconds long. So to put that into context, I think with Veo 3 you can make 8 seconds, and I think with Kling you can make 10-second clips as well. And I think Sora goes to 20 seconds. So 5 seconds is actually quite limited. And it does both image to text and also text to image as well. But the biggest selling point is that it's trained on non-copyrighted data. So they've actually licensed all the film footage they've used to generate it. And so that has both pros and cons. The pros of that are, of course, that Hollywood can use this and directors can sleep, safe in their bed knowing that everybody's been paid for. The con is, of course, that there may be some limitations in the things that it can do that perhaps Google Veo can do. So we're going to have a little bit of a demo of it in a minute. I found one of the YouTubers has gone through it. I haven't actually had a chance to play with it myself. So we can see some of the clips that it produces. some of the stuff that it does. And of course, all that we're talking about, of course, doesn't detract from the amazing achievement of actually building this thing in the first place. As some of the engineers will tell us, as Alan will tell us, back propagation through time, which is what you need to do video generation models, is hugely complex. So I'm sure we'll go into a little bit of the detail about what is in this. So it's really cool that they've put this out there, that this is kind of moving forward. And it could be used in pre and post-production. And what's really cool is that this isn't behind some kind of really expensive paywall for Hollywood, which is really, I think, the target market that they're going for. It is now available publicly as well. I believe you have to apply. There's a wait list for the API if you want access to it, and it is not, as far as I'm aware, since I last checked, it's not on any of the services like FAO yet, but it is on Comfy UI. So before we get into a discussion about it, why don't we have a look at a demo of it and find out what it can actually do. So let's bring it up. And I should say, on my list of all the articles that have been put out, it's been in TechCrunch, and it's of course been in Tech Day as well. So I noticed Sean got him an article in there, which is really nice. I've also said that I will try and get him some press as well, maybe an article in the Decode, the AI paper that I write for. So let's get this video up. So this is a YouTuber. He's talking about obviously Veo 3 and all the updates, and he's also talking about MoonValley as well. So this is really cool to see that one of our own is getting this much press, and he's up there with the giants. So this is this YouTuber's take, and we can see some of the footage. One of the cool things is this model has been around for quite a while, and it started off in Discord. So we could see some of the footage that it was putting out in 2023, which is always cool. I'm sure you've all seen that meme of Will Smith eating spaghetti and how it progresses. So
look at this guy. He has no idea of the tidal wave that's coming over the next 2 years. Yeah, back then, MoonValley was Discord-based, as were a lot of the AI video generators. At the time, I noted that it had kind of a cool animated style, and I prepared something up, so let's take a look at this. Again, this is the old MoonValley. So again, that's October of 2023, all text to video. So let's take a look at it today. Again, all text to video.
what a difference 2 years makes. No, 18 months, yeah, actually. Yeah.
If anything, I'll say that serves as a really interesting look at AI video over the last 2 years. Now, I do have to say that text to video in MoonValley, at least currently, is probably its weakest aspect. Granted, it is launch day though, so let's give them a hot minute. Obviously, being non-copyrighted data, things like an artist in a warehouse, this stuff is going to do pretty well. And things like one with a dark hair wearing a leather jacket in a hip coffee shop, this stuff looks great. Although again, text to video, so sometimes you're just gonna end up with some weird stuff like our guy here on the phone who just decides to take a quick power squat, or maybe just walk out the video also looks pretty decent. It's all out inspired image. Taken into MoonValley, we end up with this. Now this is a 5-second output, that's what MoonValley's doing right now, at 1080 though, and they are outputting at 16-bit as well. So this again goes back to that whole they're aiming for.
And just to say, I believe, feel free to correct me, I don't think Veo 3 or any of the models are doing 1080p, right? I think this is one of the USPs of this as well. Now, that's quite significant because it means it can be ready for, commercial kind of use without having to do any upscaling on it. I think that's right. I don't think you can do 1080p unless you do external upscaling with Veo 3 or some of the models. So yeah, feel free to correct me if that's not correct. But
professional usage. Scratch that 5-second thing. They apparently just launched shot extensions here, along with a number of other things that actually I did not have just a minute ago, like camera control for image, camera control for video, trajectory control, and shot extension. I do have a trajectory control running. We'll see how that looks or what that actually does. One thing that MoonValley did impress me with is taking a 16:9 image and then running it in ultra widescreen, and it'll it'll sort of in-paint the rest of it out and generate up a video essentially in that aspect ratio. So it's pretty well done. One thing that really excites me about MoonValley is its video.
Yeah, so just to say that one of the aspects, if you ever use Flow from Google Veo, I've been using that extensively, you're quite limited with the aspect ratio. It tends to produce videos in sort of 1:1, and if you then want to go and actually make reels for Instagram or for YouTube, their format is in, I think, it's in a different format, and it's quite difficult to get that. You have you either have it as a square or you need to crop off the sides. So the fact that you can quite easily change the aspect ratio of the video is actually quite significant. Veo 3 doesn't actually enable you to do that yet. There obviously are tools that work around that. They'll do autofill and give you the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen to kind of make it work. Sometimes it doesn't always get that just right though.
Video features. For example, writing one of my favorite tests, the Starship Troopers test. We've run this a few times on the channel, basically by taking a scene from the long lost and forgotten 1990s CGI television show, Starship Troopers Roughnecks. Let's take a look at the original.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. They're doing their part. Are you? Join the mobile infantry.
And now here it is restylized with MoonValley.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. They're doing their part. Are you? Join the mobile infantry.
We've run that test a number of times on the channel, and I think that is the best it's looked yet. And there are still some problems, like we're not getting accurate lip sync coming off. It's like, vintage CGI from 1999. That said, I do have something coming up later on this week that actually addresses that problem. The other kind of insane thing that MoonValley has going when it comes to keyframes is that you can keyframe every frame up to 128 frames. I don't think I've seen that as of yet. So just as a test, and this is pretty janky, I ended up nabbing an image of the animation walk cycle, and then basically issued the keyframes of 1, 26, 52, 78, 98, and 120, and then running this just to see what would happen. And again, while this is not perfect, and for sure I was pretty sloppy when it came to slicing each of those keyframes out, it kind of works. Going back to video, one of the things that really impressed me was an idea that I wanted to try out, namely utilizing say motion by deep motion. This is a platform where you essentially generate, you choose a character, you generate motion via a prompt command with throwing punches, for example, here, and then you can actually export this as an MP4. So we ended up with this as a video source and then bringing this into MoonValley and issuing a text prompt. This is actually what ended up coming out. That's actually super cool. When we talk about ultimate control of character and camera, I mean, this is probably the direction that at least one branch of the Gen AI filmmaking tree is going to head off into. Now again, I still haven't gotten the chance to fully play around with everything here, and again, apparently they're just adding things on launch day here. I did try out this trajectory control. Well, I really did not know what I was doing, so I just spent about 2 minutes on it. Yeah, apparently you can kind of control your trajectory here, and then add.
So if you've heard Mick speak at some of the meetings, you've heard him talk about this a little bit, in that a lot of the models have this big, you just prompt them, and he's kind of said, well, he doesn't feel that that is a good enough way to be able to control the models by simply talking in natural language to control the camera direction. There's too much knowledge that you have to know. If you think about the technicalities of this, you almost have to have that expert knowledge and be a film director to be able to write these long prompts. And he's talked a lot about a solution to that being actual kind of buttons and controls and options that it will give you, and that you select them, and then I suppose what's going on is in the back end that's giving some kind of prompt to actually add that into the to the prompt. So you're kind of giving the user some controls to actually make their output better, which is obviously really interesting and also quite unique. Veo is doing this a little bit. If you notice, their flow tool gives you the option to do dolly shots and to sort of zoom in and out and do things like that. So we're starting to move in that direction a little bit. What's also super interesting is, notice that these are quite technical tools. If you look at the the interface of them, they do look a bit like, you know, Photoshop or DaVinci or one of these quite advanced video editing tools. So it's interesting that the sort of the more sophisticated these models become, the more kind of technical knowledge you need to be able to get the best outputs from them. Should we open up the floor and have a bit of a discussion about this? I know people have got kind of lots and lots of opinions on this. Sean, go for it. Let me bring the mic to you. Maybe we can pass the mic around so people can hear.
Yeah. Know the pricing because it's something like $15 for 100 credits.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many credits equals one generation either. I imagine it's not that much. I would imagine that it's in line with the rest of the models. The top tier product at the moment is obviously $150, and that gets you, I think, 1,000 credits. So this is a big issue with these models, is you can burn through these credits very, very quickly. Yeah, it can be a big issue. So yeah, Lucia, let me come and bring you the mic so everyone gets the benefit of your wisdom.
I remember Mick talking about like those video control. I mean, he says like this is really the way things are rating right now, because I think it's still a bit difficult to use just prompts to control the video. But I didn't know that, like you said, you just like control it with some buttons here, and it will generate in the backend some prompts.
Yeah.
So that part is something new to me.
Yeah. We're probably a bit more sophisticated than this. Billy, let's hear. What do you think of it?
I think one of the interesting problems we're beginning to see emerge is there was, I think, a paradigm, or at least something that was becoming a cliche at the beginning of AI, where if you were a software engineer, you heard this over and over again. And it was that the final programming language will be English. And as it turns out, once you are a computer nerd or whatever, you realize that sometimes what you need to do or what you know, even at the level of literally typing text into a computer, does sometimes extend beyond just purely linguistic reasoning. You do get to sort of kind of architectural reasoning, things like that. What you're seeing here with the camera, of course, is that the idea is that it's a lot easier to click and drag the point of reference than it is to type, retrain this video to run 5 feet behind the character, right, and then pan in front of it. The thing that you're seeing with that over and over again, I think that's a paradigm you're seeing be overturned in virtually every place in AI. Who here uses Framer to build websites? Anyone? Anyone? No, come on, really? No. Are you guys like Squarespace people? Okay. So in Framer, yeah, Framer launched a widget where you could, they basically took away some of their sections features and introduced an AI wizard where you were supposed to prompt the section that you wanted. And that sucked, right? If you've ever used Canva, it's a lot easier, instead of like having to regenerate every image or like type text to prompt the changes you want to the image, sometimes you just want to erase the text, right? It's kind of annoying, even on OpenAI's ChatGPT, right? When you have to edit a text, if I have to circle something and then type to the AI what I want it to do, that it should like intuitively recognize from the section I'm circling, I want that text removed, or something of that nature. So my point is, I think you're going to see a different set of modalities in how we interact with AI models moving forward that actually moves away from this idea of everything being text-based.
Do you want to pass the mic? Yeah.
Sandy, of course.
So I was at Figma about a year ago when they were first leading into some of their AI tools. And what our user research suggested was that we actually want to constrain the outputs in ways outside of text. So, for example, I think this is so Uber, for example, wanted to build like rapidly prototype user interfaces, but they didn't want to. They wanted to use the design system that they had built in-house as input to the model, so that whatever generations came out of it were fine-tuned around what their branding, their style guide was like. If you try to only get that via prompts, it's next to impossible and it's not consistent. You have to actually have a level of control that's outside of the text modality. And I think what we're seeing is as you start generating richer and richer content, obviously Figma's a design tool. The output is, more designers have maybe higher standards than developers for audio, for non-text output. So as you see like some of these tools, you're going to start, I suspect that this is where MoonValley is going. Like a lot of the control systems are going to be in the modalities of the output and not in just text prompt. You're kind of, and if any of you use the coding tools, like you see a similar evolution there, where the inputs to coding tools like the cursor rules, etc., like you can give it structured input to generate output in that same format, and they generate it like way better than if you're just trying to prompt it. So yeah, I think it's a sea change that we're going to start seeing.
I do wonder though, come on, don't you think these models, we'll upscale it, we'll give them the text version and then it will turn it into a more complex prompt behind the scenes. In the latest version of Flux, which is called Flux Context, there is an option and it goes away and rewrites your prompt for you, even through the API, into a new version. I think they call it upscaling or something like that. And it goes and writes another prompt from yours with much more complexity behind the scenes. So I'm sure behind the scenes, pretty much all the time, we are writing in a text prompt, it's creating something way more complex before it sends it off to the models. And I suspect that is going to be the case, but you guys are 100% right, text is still not enough.
Yeah. Like this is, how do you describe that
Right.
information in text in a meaningful way?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's exactly. And so I think what MoonValley does, and why I think this is so cool, is it's giving you those controls, is to control that input and that output, which is really cool.
Ironically, it's basically the rediscovery of the idea that not everyone wants to use a CLI to interact with the computer.
Yeah.
GUIs were good.
Does anyone else who is like a YouTuber or in the sort of film aspect or in the content creation want to come in on this and talk a little bit about some of these video generation tools and what they're thinking about them? We've sort of heard the engineering take and the go for it. Should we send the mic round? Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah.
I don't know if it works.
There we go.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing e-com, where basically like I was testing like different type of ads. One of the biggest problem we had back then was like actually like finding content to like test the ad, and we had to like either like steal content for like from like other shops or pay people for like Fiverr and send like products and like wait a week and pay like $200 for like ads that were not good. And like
so sorry, just to explain. So you're creating like an ad, like a Facebook ad for your content for your e-com store, so your products that you're selling, and so you'd either have to basically take content that people had already made and kind of rip it off, or pay somebody on Fiverr and would you ship them the product to get them to make a video? You'd have to pay the posting and a heavy price for them.
And so basically, like maybe like in 2 years, we will be able to like create ads in like one click. I know that some people are already like doing it, but it's like not extremely great. But I think that for like e-commerce, we are going to be able to like test a lot of creative like very quickly. And yeah, I think that's like one of the ways that it will be like maybe used.
Yeah, that's interesting. Alan, my man, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add a bit of a research perspective on that. Because this is a huge accomplishment, not only for me and MoonValley, but for the entire research community. What these guys did, they scaled transformer diffusion to new heights. Like, I don't know if that information is public about the size of the model, but this is a really big model. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you remember times where we were fighting computer vision problems. We would use CNNs, and those were small. And then we applied transformer, and well, transformer was not doing well with computer vision tasks. But then when we scaled vision transformer to over 2 billion parameters, it started to make sense. And given that, people figured, okay, why don't we scale them even more? And so diffusion models, if you look at a stable diffusion 3, this is like, if I remember correctly, 12 billion parameters. And having both architectures, transformer and diffusion, merged together and scaling them to new heights, this is incredibly difficult challenge.
Can you put the size of this model in context? Obviously, as you said, we don't know whether it's publicly available, but just to give us an idea of... 1 trillion. 1 trillion what? Yeah, 1 trillion what? And what are the other models? Could you enlighten us a little bit, maybe, Alan, on and what that means, the fact that it's a bigger, and then put transformer and diffusion architecture together?
Yeah. So basically, what is happening? So transformer is the architecture that we use to scale.
Yep.
And diffusion is what we would normally use for text to image. So by combining these two together, we have a nice foundation to actually do text to video or image to video. And so within diffusion, you would still apply multiple different layers. Like, for example, the image goes through downsampling, so that because it's cheaper to operate on a smaller picture. Like, it's not 1080 in like the whole process, because that would be computationally incredibly expensive. Don't remember the exact number, but they usually operate on like very small, like maybe 16 by 16 pixel, and then you would upsample that. So this is happening within diffusion. Then transformer has to carry it to increase the scale. I haven't done research in that particular aspect, so I can't really speak on how it scales. But this is only what the effects you can see only apply at scale.
And this is the only model that's brought transfusion and transformer and diffusion technology to get together in one model, or is this the first one that's done that? Right?
No.
But this is the first one that's done it at scale.
Yes, I think the scale is bigger.
Okay.
I don't think Veo3 published their model size, so maybe it is similar scale. But when we compare it to the models last year, this is much bigger scale.
Yeah, and just to catch everybody up who's like not an engineer, transformer technology is the technology that exists in a lot of language models. It's essentially the architecture. It's in GPT, and diffusion is one of the ways in which you can generate images. So I believe you create noise and then you denoise the image in very simplistic terms, right?
Correct.
Yes. So we have all these different ways of basically generating video and models, and so there's competing ways of doing this, and they're all competing with each other to find out which is going to be not just the best way, but which is going to be the most efficient, which is going to be the way that costs the least amount of money for the best results. As you heard, we were already at $150 million raised for this company, huge amount of money, and I imagine the vast bulk of that is going to compute power and GPU power and the size of the model, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, I think it would be really cool if we do like a short video of like congrats me.
Yeah, we should. We can do that. Should we leave that maybe to the end? We'll get a nice video and send it all to Mix for all the people who are here. But yeah, I mean, we're so proud that we have. Mix has been coming, I think, every week and been contributing a lot to these meetings. So yeah, super thrilled for him that he's got this out there, and he's made such a big contribution, obviously, to the world of AI and to the technology of the future, which is cool. So I want to talk next, I think, a little bit about some of the practical use cases of text to video before we move on to talking about Grok 4, which is obviously big news this week. So obviously we've talked about the theoretics, we've talked about what these models can do. What are some practical applications that you can use for them? So if anyone's been coming the last few weeks, you have been seeing that I have been slowly playing around with these models, and we're actually now given this task over to my video editor, Eunice. And so she has had the sort of full capacity to go out and actually make a YouTube video for me that is completely AI generated. So we had a video demo sort of last week. This one, we've actually taken it a step further, and we've used some B-roll. We have really gone to town on using some of the context model to actually get the text. So I thought it would be cool to demo that, just to really show you I think the limits of these models and what they can do on YouTube. And then we'll talk a little bit about YouTube's policies on AI as well. I know that a lot of people have been commenting on the group that YouTube is going to ban AI videos, so we're going to have a bit of a discussion about that. So this is what my amazing editor, Eunice, has managed to come up with this week. So all of what you're about to see is entirely generated by AI. So I'll get up my YouTube channel. And the idea was generated by Claude. So even the idea, obviously I signed it off. I made sure that it was in alignment with values for AI to the world for my consulting company. And she was able to then take that video from just a script and entirely make this video from scratch. So there was no input from me. There was no me going to the studio. I didn't even record the voice for this video. And this I really think is really pushing the boundaries of what you can kind of do with this. So what's the practical application for it? So I'll play it and then I'll talk through the tech stack I use, some of the limitations we have with it, and what we think we've kind of, I guess, what we learned from this process of using some of these video generation tools in practice. See if we can turn the wave up.
Made a statement that should worry every business leader. AI will reduce corporate headcount in the coming years. But here's what he didn't say, and what smart CEOs are doing instead of panicking about layoffs. I'm Harry Verity, and I've spent the last 2 years helping companies implement AI. Today, I'm going to show you why the conversation about AI and jobs is completely backwards, and how the smartest leaders are using this moment to build unstoppable teams. Andy Jassy told employees that generative AI tools will reduce corporate headcount, and that workers need to embrace AI and reskill. The media ran with Amazon CEO predicting job cuts. Amazon operates at a scale where a 1% efficiency improvement equals millions in savings. They have 1.5 million employees. Your business? Probably a bit different. The real story isn't about cutting people. Amazon's actually using AI to handle 3 times more customer inquiries with the same support team, automate warehouse logistics while keeping human oversight, and help developers write code faster, not replace developers. The narrative should be how Amazon is multiplying human capability with AI, but that doesn't get clicks. Most leaders fall into the subtraction trap. They think AI equals automation, automation equals fewer people needed, therefore AI equals job cuts. But here's the reality. The companies I work with that implement AI successfully, they keep the same headcount and multiply their output. This is the 3 times rule. Instead of asking what jobs can AI replace, ask how can AI help my team do 3 times more valuable work. Here's my 4-step framework for preparing the workforce. Step 1, audit tasks, not jobs. Stop thinking about roles. Start mapping what your team actually does hour by hour. Look for tasks that are repetitive, data heavy, or research intensive.
So I'll just sort of move this on. I won't make you sort of sit through the whole thing, but you can see that basically we've managed to get everything generated by AI. So we've managed to get the text end to end. So the voice is not my voice, it's 11 Labs. The idea came from Claude. These graphics, we used AI to animate them, and we used, I think, did you use context, the text models from Flux to make the graphics? Yeah, combination. Yeah, and then obviously the music. She selected the music to put that over the top. I don't think the music was AI generated. I think that was the only thing that was real music. But yeah, so we've pushed it, I think, to the very limit of what you can do by putting all of these tools together. And so, I guess I will end before I open up the discussion by saying, I think the pros are that it doesn't take me any time anymore. I just generating an idea with Claude OK and giving it to her. It does, however, take Eunice quite some time to actually put all this together. And there's an argument within the team about, is this actually perhaps taking up too much time, because we could actually just go to the studio and it would take her less time to do the editing without having to put all these different tools together. We also use VO3 for some of the B-roll when we needed specific B-roll about things. And I suppose perhaps the criticism that some people have made is that the voice is pretty monotonous. But I wonder how that will change now we've got V311 labs and you can have the literally exciting, you can put the tags on the voice. So yeah, that's one of the things I think that the way that we can push it. Liam, did you want to go ahead and make a comment about this? Yeah. Let me bring you the mic. Yeah.
When it's like, it was just a question about the video, is it buffering because of the connection between here and the TV, or like when it's...
Oh, maybe.
I'm just curious about the video, is it very smooth on the screen there, or is it...
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I haven't noticed that. On my screen, I don't... Where is it buffering? On the...
It's showing just you were talking for the like 15-20 seconds there. I couldn't tell the one place there was a bit of twitching, but I was just curious if it's...
Yeah.
The real story.
Yeah. I mean, it does my hands quite well. I can do these sort of gestures, which I often do. So, and obviously that is a real still image of me in the podcast studio. So then it presents like an opportunity, which is, you know, how you could offer this as a service if you really wanted to for very busy CEOs. You just take a picture and say that's all you need, and then you can have a whole bunch of YouTube content lined up. And obviously we've been doing shorts this way, and I know other YouTubers have been using this. I think Liam Otley has been doing this as well, where he's been basically using his avatar. A lot of people have been using HeyGen. We've not been using HeyGen, we've been using Kling, text to image to text, and then we've been using Sync V2, the lip sync model. But yeah, curious to hear people's thoughts on this. Yeah.
Yeah, so quick question.
Yeah.
This doesn't work at all.
Yeah. I think somebody got the other mic. Yeah, do you want to pass that around? One of them doesn't, one of them doesn't. Billy's okay, yeah.
So question. So how much did it cost? How long did it take you? Can you automate that workflow where it's like generating from an N8N prompt end to end? And then I want to do a straw poll on whether or not anyone would be less likely to watch that video if they knew it was made by AI. Or whether or not they would care.
These are very good questions. I believe it is, but David and I have been talking about this, like, can we set up an N8N workflow? And I would say, yeah, I mean, it's obviously possible. All of these things have APIs. I think what you would lose is the level of control, like you would go one step through it, like you would just end up with an output, whereas you wouldn't be able to say, okay, that's not quite right, so we need to step and regenerate that and then go to the next part. Because we're doing the video, and then we're doing the lip sync and the audio separately and then putting them all together. But it's definitely possible to do that. We haven't tried it. That's definitely an argument, I think, for next week. Could we try making one with an N8N workflow? Second of all, how much did it cost? I don't know the answer to that. I imagine a couple of cents, right? Or maybe I think maybe we spent, let's say we spent $8 on FAO, right, to get all the different models together. So we don't have 1 million subscriptions to all the different models. So let's say somewhere between $8 and $10 to make the video. If you tied up Unity's time as well to make it as well, I don't know how you would factor that in. But yeah, those are the two questions. And then you wanted to run a straw poll to see who would be willing to do it.
Okay,
So
can everyone raise
yeah.
their hand and tell me whether they would not care if this was AI? Like, you watch it anyway, no matter what. Okay. Don't care. AI, don't care. Would anyone like just see this, recognize it was AI generated, and then like scroll to the next video?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, that was pretty deep.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
If my method of consuming video is playing something that generates a transcript description when I read, does it really matter if it's generated by AI?
It matters though. There's a lot of good stuff that we could watch and see.
I guess so.
What is the thing that would, if it was more realistic, is it the fact that you can tell that it was generated by AI? Is the fact that you know that it's generated by AI? I guess is the key question.
You don't know the source. You don't know the source.
So you don't know. Okay.
You don't know the source. You don't have the credibility.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Bennett. Yeah. Yeah.
You refer to the same situation that we found with Collaboration before, when they had a collaboration, like a commercial collaboration.
Sure.
And it was stated where at some point they had to say, and then people lost interest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, and that is a really good segue onto the what we're going to talk about next. But Victor, feel free to
Yeah, I actually think that right now the AI videos get more engagement from me because I recognize that it's AI and I'm curious how it's done.
Yeah.
You know, it's whether it's high quality. This one is really good. I think the only thing I would probably improve is get a little bit more like intonation, like highs and lows, because it's very monotone. If
sure.
I think we should look at what point of view we're asking this question, right? Are we asking it from the perspective of I'm interested in the AI content, or if I'm actually searching for a topic, because I think that's what you meant.
Right.
And for me, I feel like I'm looking for that, being authentic, and even though the video is really good, there's still a difference. Let's take, for example, I feel like from the video quality, you probably know more than watching it, but like Iman Gazi, most people know him, he puts so much effort into the video that you can feel it.
Yeah.
And until the point, I feel like at some point people will know. I think on TikTok it's already there at that point, where people know it's AI, but they're like, I kind of want to know what it's about. I don't care. But for long form content, if you're really going deep into a topic, at least for me, I'm still looking for the creators that are just giving the sauce and real.
Yeah.
I think it's a word of mouth referral. Just it's different.
I also think it depends on how badly you need to know the content. Like, how many of you use Notebook LM? And how many of you, when you realize that the podcast from Notebook LM is AI generated, stops listening to that? Like, when we have research paper to read and we have 20 minutes on the walk to just listen to something, we listen to podcasts generated by AI.
But Sean, please go for it. Yeah.
My main thing though is that it's just not fast and punchy and entertaining. It's sort of slow and I don't know. I think the script could be done better and maybe at 120%. Speed-wise, it would be. But it sounds like it could all be encapsulated in a 10-second short. You know?
Yeah.
There's not enough goodness.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, Amelia, curious on your opinion.
I think from a practical point of view, in terms of YouTube has changed its policy today.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm on it.
Yeah. But I think from a commercial sort of application side of it as well, it could limit you a lot from the revenue generation side of things. And I just think that obviously ties in sort of it being shown on Google as well.
Yeah.
Which I think we're going to go into.
Yeah, we're going to go into that in a minute as to how the big platforms are actually responding to this. And what does that look like in terms of monetization? Okay, Lucy.
So, I mean, for me, what I want to see is like you just do the same film, but with like a MoonValley's model.
Yeah.
I really want to see the end result.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, for sure, we could try it. See what happens if we do MoonValley.
I mean, here you have like multiple scenes, and it's very consistent.
Yeah.
And I really want to know if you could have that same film with MoonValley.
So before we move to the debate about how you should be changing its policies, I do want to demo one more video that made. Sean, did you want to say something? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
I just want to ask you, what tool did you use to animate the image at the beginning?
Very good question. So the entire workflow worked like this. It was, I had a voice clone with 11 labs. Claude generated the entire script and the idea, and I signed it off. So I said, make me 50 ideas. Then I picked the one I wanted, and it generated the script, and then I okayed the script. So we have 11 labs for the voice. Kling 2.1 made the the video of a still image of me, and the prompt was just my lips are moving, or I look like I'm talking, something like that. And then I combined that with the text with the 11 Labs voice and put that into a package together, I guess on CapCut. This is what Eunice did after I experimented with it. And then we did that like 4 or 5 times throughout the video, so that you have parts where I'm coming back. And then 11 Labs did the audio for the rest, so it's like a voiceover. So it's not like one continuous video that we've just made and then we've basically put B-roll at the top of it. We've made these videos at strategic points. And then I think VO3 did the B-roll, and I think Klux Context did the graphics, and then we used Kling to animate the graphics. So that's the complete tech stack. There might be some other extra things in there that Eunice used that maybe I'm not aware of, but we heavily use FAL to make all of this. Yep, FAL, F-A-L.ai. Steve, you want to make one last point before we move on? Yep. feel like I know Steve's going to have a compliance point to
I'd just say that my last consultant thing is exactly what you were talking about, and the key driver wasn't to save money, it was improve efficiency. So this vehicle manufacturer was outsourcing their contact centre to a third party. They were paying per productive hour, so they pay a contact centre region $100 per hour, and they'd normally handle 3 calls per hour. If you enable the AI, you would handle 9 calls per hour. So ultimately, your efficiency is 3x basically. So you can then put that money into other things as well. So that's their key driver. Is not to lose the jobs. It's more efficiency.
Exactly. That's definitely something we see. So I just want to demo one more thing before we talk about how YouTubers responded to this. So I actually made something kind of creative with Veo 3 over the weekend. So I also, as you know, I'm a writer as well. I publish books. So I'm just in the process of finishing my last book, my most recent book. And I've started to do some light promotion for it. So I'm making this as an audio book. I'm eventually going to put it out as a sort of book. My first one was published by a publisher a few years ago, and I'm sort of doing my own thing with AI. And so this technology can also allow you to bring sort of fiction to life as well. So this is one of the things that I made with Veo 3, and was able to push the boundaries with this as well in terms of characters speaking and putting it all together. So you don't necessarily have to do the kind of YouTube stuff. You could do stuff which is clearly generated by AI and sort of fictional.
When I saw Hinksley Hall, I knew something was wrong. Some schools teach you how to survive. At Hinksley Hall, survival is just the beginning.
So you see, you can get the consistent characters, you can get the voices, you can kind of do all the things that you could do for YouTube as well, and you could sort of make I guess a fiction about that. So I guess I'm interested in how people feel about that, compared to YouTube. If you were to consume longer form content that was about something that was so obviously fictional and so obviously generated by AI, would you still be adverse to consuming this kind of content, or would you be more interested in it because you bought in a kind of verisimilitude way into the world? What does everyone think?
I mean, that was a cringy video.
Yeah.
I don't know if this thing AI doesn't become cringe.
It was cringe, but it was also about the voices and the technology. But I guess the point is, if you could have a long form video that was made by AI, would you consume that? Would you be interested in consuming that compared to if you were just watching a YouTuber giving you information? Would you think about it differently, or would you just think no, this is still AI generated garbage, and I'm gonna turn off? I want something that's maybe a skill or something by actors.
I think if I even answered you, my answer would be honest.
Okay.
In other words, really.
Yeah.
I mean, not to respect that. I think if you sat here, right, a year ago, and we were at AI Founders Meetup, and you asked if there was some AI written journalism, would you read it? A lot of people would have said no. And today, everyone reads, whether or not they realize they've crossed that line, we all read the Google LLM summary.
Really,
Yeah, so I think that, eventually you'll get to a point where, at some point you cross the path of where, most of it's greater than 50% of the stuff on your feed is AI generated, and you can accept it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Do any of the content creators want to share opinion about, I guess, more creative videos? Yeah. Yeah, makes total sense. Jack, do you want to go next?
I think it depends a bit on the author and the trust, and especially if they've already got long-form content, which you know is good, and you already resonate with their ideas, because the AI is presumably going to be trained on them and their ideas and their philosophy, then I'm more inclined to watch their videos. But if it's somebody completely new and it's AI generated, like I have no trust, and I think I'm pretty unlikely to watch it unless somebody recommends it to me. But I think big channels first will benefit from it.
I agree with that. I don't write books, but I write a lot of code. And I represent that code. And if I believe that this code is good enough, I'll commit that code. And if it was AI generated, but like I am responsible for that code and I'll be representing that code.
So it doesn't really matter how it was generated, it's like you're representing it, so that's the,
I
it's
think if
interesting.
you can take responsibility for what AI generated, then it's yours.
It's interesting. Victor, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think hybrid approach would work really great. So, talk like real person talking plus some B-roll with the generated content is better than just talk head. If you would check out Ray William Johnson, I don't know if anyone is familiar with
we can get him up,
like he used to be extremely famous, top one YouTuber, and now he's doing this like shorts and stories where he's actually talking, but B-roll is generated using video, obviously, and it's great content.
We should, Lucien,
So like, just like, to give you an example, like where there's a video on Instagram, like with food in Bali. So I mean, it's really, I think, very entertaining, and even though it is made with video through it gains a lot of view because it's entertaining. So I mean, in the end, I think it doesn't matter whether it is made with AI or not, as long as it is entertaining. I think
for sure.
This is the one I recommended for last week.
Yeah.
On Instagram, Bigfoot in Bali. So
it's so good.
All generated.
I've seen it. It's really good. And the one you sent me as well. I think Sean sent a really funny one. Some girl being interviewed on the beach, and he goes, "Have you heard of the model context protocol?" Which is, you did.
Harry and myself had access. Google gave us Google Ultra account, so we can generate as much VO3 as we want on an unlimited basis.
Which is crazy. So let's move the conversation on to the YouTube guidelines. Okay, one last point.
So I'm not working in AI. I'm more of a consumer.
Sure.
And I feel like if it was something that was super creative, that was like out of this world, and I knew that it was AI, then I'm interested in watching it. But if it's something that a human could do, for example, even like music, it's the soul behind the music. It's not the words. It's not the. It's so much deeper than just the words, if that makes sense. So I think I would listen to it, and for example, like I love Steve Bartlett, his podcast Direct Sale. If he changed that to AI, I wouldn't be as interested because it doesn't feel real. It's not authentic anymore.
Interesting.
Cool.
Let's get to quickly go over what we've talked about with YouTube. So obviously YouTube have updated their terms of service from today, saying basically AI generated content, they're going to be sort of clamping down on it and changing it. What they've actually said is that if you want to monetize, that it needs to be original and authentic. And they've said their content guidelines were always that way. And their Rene Richards, who is basically the official creator liaison and editorial at YouTube, he basically said that it's not going to affect videos unless they're very, very repetitive and sameish. So these obviously spam videos you see with an AI-generated voiceover telling you like the news and they've been put out 1,000 times. So his take was kind of, if you've got an element of creativity to it in it with AI, you're still going to be able to get monetization. So that was briefly what he said, but obviously we've seen a lot of posts saying basically you're not going to be able to monetize at all if you use AI, and that's not necessarily the case. Those headlines are kind of clickbait. Shall we move on then? So we've got a few things to go through. I know Gerling was going to talk about Grok 4, and I think we also want to have a fireside chat with Adam. Adam, would you like to have the chat now, or should we go through Grok 4? I think, yeah, should we do it? Yeah. Yes, please, yeah. Yes, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. So, yeah, I really appreciate you you being here. I guess it would be cool if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in investment in the US. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Adam Haney. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a partner at Infinity, and we're a holding company that has 8 AI services businesses in our portfolio. I'm also on the investment committee of our venture arm, Visionary Ventures. So spend a lot of time meeting with founders, sort of taking pitches, investing in various different AI companies. My career has been as a CTO. So prior to this, I was the CTO of Invisible Technologies, which is the second fastest growing AI company in the US. Ended up working with about 80% of the foundation model companies building their human data, including OpenAI for sort of pre-ChatGPT and post-ChatGPT human data. Before that, I was at Meta, where I worked on the news team, and then I've been CTO and co-founder of a couple of different companies in different industries, going back throughout my 15-year career.
That's really cool. A bit of a pivot going to the news in Meta, I guess.
So my very first startup was a natural language understanding company for news articles. So we did a high scale, sort of like pre-transformer, old school natural language processing. And so that was in 2011. So I've always sort of dabbled in various different like high volume news kind of use cases. And so when I came to Meta, got to pick a role, that's where I kind of ended up. Although I'm a small company guy, so I ended up back in Invisible and Infinity because I really sort of enjoy the 0 to 1 seed stage. And that's like a lot of the joy that I get out of my current role is that I get to work with 8+ different tech teams and founders on things that they're building.
Sure. I guess big question for you then is, what do you look for in 0 to 100? If any of the guys in the audience are building something today or building a product, what are you kind of looking for to sort of invest in, and what do you think are the winners and what do you think are the things to avoid?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of people think that this changed because of AI, and so like the thing, I'll talk about the things that have changed and the things that haven't. So the boring answer is these are still just companies that we need to be able to think about, like, do you have traction? What is your moat overall? Is there actually somebody that's willing to take their credit card out and hand it to you and pay for this, or whatever your sort of mechanism of monetization is? So like, there are business fundamentals that I think about a lot. And I think what has changed is the way that we capitalize these companies. So 10 years ago, you would go raise a pre-seed round to build something. And I think basically because AI has allowed us to reduce the size of engineering teams, my expectations for prototypes are a lot higher now. So in the past, you might talk to a founder that had a slide deck and an idea, and that was enough to go raise pre-seed. At this point, if you don't have some kind of demo, I'm like, you're not even trying. And so I think that has definitely changed the level of expectation in sort of like pre-seed stage, which also then flows through to the rest of the stages, right? So effectively, if you were already able to have a prototype that was working at pre-seed, then by seed you actually need a lot more traction than you used to.
What about this idea about the death of SaaS? So I hear so much from, I think even the Microsoft CEO said that eventually SaaS is just, there's this idea that SaaS will essentially be replaced by everybody coding their own tools. SaaS definitely seems to have got more competitive. Would you say that is fair point?
Our thesis is a lot around full services. So for instance, maybe it helps for me to share a little bit about our portfolio. So Xero, who's here, they're a recruiting process outsourcing company. They're not an application tracking system. So we're not selling SaaS, we're selling the entire outcome. And we think a lot about like what is the end-to-end value creation for customers. So whether that's you don't just want an applicant tracking system, you want candidates, and ideally you want great, high-quality candidates. Similarly, what Billy's doing with Unlimited, there are tons of different point solutions in the financial services space, but they don't actually offer the end-to-end, like, I still need to have an internal team, or I'm having to sort of piece together all of these different SaaS solutions, and so I think that it's sort of like opening up the scope of what it means to be a services business versus just a pure point SaaS solution. But I don't know that I buy that companies are just going to go build all of their own SaaS tools. Like, I think that there's a lot of knowledge that goes into how do you solve some of these problems? And I don't know that you're just going to one-shot individual software solutions. That also, I think, like completely overlooks the maintenance overhead for all of these companies. And I think like what Alan was saying about accountability, in terms of, you know, I'm standing behind this. If you have a very small team that's vibe coding all of the different software tools, you're going to have, I mean, I think significant maintenance and a pretty large learning curve for any company. Like I think there's a lot of value in being able to jump over all of that context to get to something that is known to work and sort of can anchor within a business.
Sure, thank you for that. What do you think is like the moat? I guess we talk a lot about how like, you know, every week this technology is changing and changing, and it's like, oh damn, you know, you feel like you got taken out. How do you protect yourself, or what does a moat look like for you?
Man, we talk about this a lot. So I think, I mean, at this point, the strongest moat that I see is actually just really great execution. So people are moving so quickly. I don't think that, you know, there's still, you know, there are network effects and there are all of the sort of, you know, brand and the things that you think about for like traditional businesses that help to build a moat. But also because everyone is moving so quickly, I also just look for execution speed from the team. And that's why it's so important to me whenever I am talking to somebody, do you have something that's working? Are people actually using it? We look a lot more at, are you moving quickly enough, talking to customers quickly enough that you're going to be able to sort of ride the wave instead of be drowned by it?
In that regard, do you think to some extent it's like less important like what you're working on rather than like the team that you've built and the ethos and the drive that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem space is still important.
Yep.
So I mean, there are going to be some areas that are pretty crowded, and so like I would look for, you know, if you're building yet another chatbot, like there's a question about like why do you think that you have, do you have a novel perspective on this problem? And then from there, the moat ends up being, do you have novel access to customers? Like there's some sort of sales motion, like is your GTM going to be a whole lot better? But then from there, yeah, I mean, I think especially in pre-seed and seed, it's so much about, are these people that we want to be in the trenches with? And are they people that we have confidence are going to be able to iterate, get knocked down, get back out, keep going?
Sure. Okay. Sure. Jordan.
As a technical person, how do you stop your team members from constantly looking at the shiniest, latest new object and not focusing on sort of business outcomes?
Yeah, such a good question.
I'm a capitalist. It is the real answer. So I mean, like I think that there's like there's a level of restraint, which is like, is this new tool in service of some better solution for a customer? So I think it's like really important that the team is staying on top of what is new, and so that we can be aware of what is happening. But I think sort of hammers in search of nail kind of problems are not, you know, going to lead to something that's actually meaningful for a customer.
Victor.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for all the questions and answers. It was really interesting to listen to that. My question is, since like the teams, the startup teams are so empowered by AI, and they can actually, like a team of 4 engineers or, you know, just co-founders can achieve so much, so they can get traction and significant growth. Do you see that, like, does it change that they are not applying for VC funding?
Yes.
Like, is it, what's your perspective on that? Do such teams still need VC or not?
I think it entirely depends on the team's situation and kind of the space that they're going after. So I mean, my advice definitely would be, if you don't need to raise money, don't, because it ends up coming with a lot of other expectations. One of the things that's, we're extremely capital efficient as a holding company, so we're not a traditional VC fund. And so because of that, like there's significantly less dilution with the people that work with us than somebody that would normally go through the pre-seed and seed stage kind of investment process. But I think it's going to end up changing. There are only going to be some problems that need venture funding, and also there are only going to be some problems that are venture fundable. Which is to say, you know, like if you're competing with a very small, lean, fast-moving team in the same space as you, and you have to raise significantly more capital, it's going to be harder for you to recruit employees because you're not going to have the same kind of ESOP or like options that you can grant them. Your compensation is just not going to be as competitive. I think it's just going to end up being a drag. So I do think that there are an entirely new class of companies that are not going to need VC the way that we traditionally did. There are still very capital-intensive companies as well, though, that I think I see VC moving like a lot more into infrastructure kinds of problems. I see a lot more deep tech pitches than I feel like I did 10 years ago.
Lucian, do you want to ask the last one question? We'll go to Lucian, then we'll go to Steve, and then we'll wrap up and do Grok 4, because I know Gerling is waiting. Lucian, yeah.
Okay, sure. So I want to ask a question. I mean, how do you guys define traction right now in your structure? Because I think that also may have changed with AI, like pre-AI traction. I mean, so
how do I define traction?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it varies from company to company in terms of like, you know, if you are a B2C versus B2B, you know, in a B2B space, it literally means like who are the people that are paying you right now. I look a little bit beyond letters of intent because I think that they're pretty soft. And then in B2C, I mean, it's obviously like a larger number of people that are using that. We'll go, it just sort of varies by sector on exactly which, you know, what is the watermark for each individual kind of thing to say like you have or have not. But I think gone are the days of like, hey, I just have this idea that I haven't tried yet, I guess is what I would really drive home. Like the idea needs to actually be in use by somebody that is paying you for it in some way.
One question from me, which is what is the one thing that people are not thinking about at the moment, or that you wish you had in front of you, that they perhaps should be, if they're coming to you for investment?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I think the question earlier about using new technology for the sake of using technology versus using it to solve real problems, I think that's where I see people with a technical background go astray the most. And I mean, I'm a technologist, so like I totally get it. There's this amazing new thing, I'm really excited about this new model that's out, or this new capability. I get too wrapped up in how the technology is awesome versus how the awesome technology is actually going to help a customer in order to achieve it.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so great. That's important. Steve, did you want to have the very last question?
Basically, the technology is moving really quickly. I've been in the AI space since 2022, and a lot of the individual apps that keep getting more Grok, etc. So you release an app, and then all of a sudden the big players find that space. The next thing that seems to be on the horizon is like AI-native operating system like Warwind is coming on the horizon. They're going to have pre-seed funding. That seems to be the next thing. You've got AI-native for everyone. If people here want to introduce an app and stop them kind of being, I can say, proposed by big players like Microsoft, taking their idea and ultimately their useful political government
Yeah, so the question is basically like, how do you not get run over by the big players if you have a new idea? I mean, I think it's a really hard problem. So I mean, they used to have remember there was like a graveyard of apps that Apple ended up adopting and then putting in as like native iOS features. So it's not a new AI first problem. I do think you have to think structurally around the people that might want to compete with you. What are their incentives? And so like, how do I counterposition this idea against them? Are there things that I am positioned to do that they are not? Are there things that I have access to that they don't? But that's the sort of constant problem of a scrappy upstart versus the incumbent, is how can I make the fact that I'm nimble an advantage versus something where I'm going up against Goliath. You know, when you think about, I used to work at Meta, there are 80,000 engineers there, but there's also a lot of internal bureaucracy, there's a lot of, you know, so like they have all these great resources, but they can't move as quickly and nimbly as a 4 or 5 person startup. So I think you have to figure out, how does your size an advantage, as well as where are some of these bigger players going to go? Are you, you know, I wouldn't go in places that are obvious next steps for them, but then I also think that sometimes speed of execution just gets people there. So like, I remember there being a Hacker News post about Dropbox a decade ago, where the immediate response was somebody said, oh, Google is definitely going to build this will never be a business. Now, I mean, 10 years later, Google did build it, so you can sort of decide, was it worth Dropbox to go build a multi-billion-dollar company, or should they have just sort of set out because Google was going to come in that direction? And so I think that you have to maintain speed, maintain diligence, and just keep building. I think that's right, yeah.
Adam, thank you so much for your questions. Appreciate it so much. Give a round of applause to Adam. And Gerling is going to come up and we are going to have a little bit of a chat about Grok 4. So it's obviously been a huge week in AI, so this is going to be one of those weeks where the meeting runs till probably close to 9 o'clock. So yeah, I'll just do a brief intro while Gerling sets up. So unless you've been living under the rock, you know that Elon has put out a new model. And of course, one of the things that Elon has is a big data center. Is this good? Is this good? Yeah, perfect. So he has a lot of big advantages, a lot of big competitive advantages. He has a huge amount of data centers. And obviously, he has put out all the benchmarks and basically said that this model has PhD level intelligence in everything that it does in every single domain, which is quite a huge statement. But they've also put out a huge amount of evals, and Gerling has kindly sort of gone through them, and he's going to be able to talk us through them in a little bit more depth, and hopefully answer the question of like, does this model live up to its hype? I think, is this really the best model that's out there? It obviously is a reasoning model, or are we simply listening to PR spin, basically, from our pro Elon? So yeah, Gerling, have the floor. Let me get you the mic.
Testing. Okay. Hi everyone. This was confirmed like 30 minutes before we started, so I'm glad we're over time and I've had some time to prepare. I think my goal is like to go through some of the Grok stuff, but to try and paint the picture to how it's going to relate to, I think. Oh wait, a little bit about my background. So I was doing like foundational models in neuroscience for my PhD like 3 years ago. I've been doing startups since then. They weren't in the transformer space, they weren't in the diffusion space. We had a completely different bet. And we'll talk about that as well, because that's relevant here. The bet we were making and the rest of like the neuroscientists were making versus traditional deep learning clicks were making on how we get to intelligence basically. What's really interesting with Grok 4 is it's really good at science, and so that's very close to heart for me. Is it coming after my job? And we're going to go through like how it was released, which of the evaluations tell us about like where we're headed, and then tying that into like it's not just about Grok, it's just not just about this one model, but how foundational models are changing. And we'll go through an example in my field, how they're changing, how we do genomics, how we do neuroscience, how we do like signal prediction for weather, for example, as well. Okay, so like first thing that we see when they release this model is they're comparing it on this benchmark called ARC AGI. And this benchmark was like created so that it mimics how we think and how we are able to reason in the wild without having seen that data before, for example, or having seen that pattern before. Like an example here is this one. You'll be given like this input and this is the output, and you somewhat learn a semantic representation of what's happening here. And this is actually a test we do as a neurological test for Parkinson's. Is like your prefrontal cortex, does it have that dynamic flexibility to pick up a new pattern and then apply that pattern in the real world, because that degrades in these neurological disorders. And so, you're testing the model's ability to do that, and so that's what this evaluation is about. It's like having not seen this data before, are you able to take a new kind of paradigm, learn the underlying principles of that paradigm, or that a rule that's implicit, and then use that newfound knowledge and apply that in the real world, which is very different to like GPT-4. It's very different to last year's models. Last year's models were more like intuition, like you ask a question and then without thinking, a person gives a response. And so, that's what the previous one was like.
So Galen, I was going to ask you, like, how does this compare to, like, are these evaluations just for Grok, or have they been used to actually compare the different models as well? And how do they fare up in terms of those kind of neurosignals you're talking about, those real world problems?
Yeah, really good question. So yeah, they've been plotting how this evaluation has been saturated over time. So last year we were here where the models weren't really thinking; they were just answering with intuition. And so a new paradigm came out, which is called test time compute, which we'll go through. Another way to think about it is like chain of thought reasoning, and then that's when we started to see progress on this benchmark. And so the machine learning community thought we're not going to saturate this benchmark for many years because like we haven't taught AI to think like we do. But with test time compute, we're able to do that. And so the O models with O4 Mini, for example, and then Claude came out soon after that. These were the first ones that built in this thinking approach, and now Grok does that thinking approach as well. So I'll just give you an example. So I showed you guys this graphic. What this reminded me of is like when I was doing pre-med, these kinds of questions that we had to get into medicine. Like we had to learn like what was the pattern, and this would be part of the exam, and this was like testing your like ability to do logical reasoning or something. And so like now we're doing the same for like AI models.
But what does this mean in like practice, right? So it could now pass these tests that it can get into medical school, which you obviously passed yourself, right? So like, what does that look like in terms of practical application? Does this now mean that Grok can go away and solve some real life problems with medicine that we weren't able to solve before? Like, what does that mean in practice?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we have this other test, which is it's called Humanities Last Exam.
Sure.
And Humanities Last Exam is a bunch of scientific questions and answers that the model is tested against.
Sure.
And so the ability to get that right is what's being measured, and it's insane how good it is on Humanities Last Exam. And what this plot here shows is like, as they increase the amount of compute given to the model, the better it performed. So this is, implicit knowledge, so like your intuition, and this is how much time you've had to think about the problem and how much compute you're allowed to use. And so, yeah, you can see like as you give it more compute, you allow it to think more, you give it more resources, it performs better.
Okay.
And so, this paints a picture of where we're headed. Basically, it's like, we don't actually have to discover like new science necessarily in terms of how we design machine learning architecture. We just have to scale what already works. And this was Elias Skitzer's-Bet, CTO of OpenAI.
Yeah. Is everybody sort of following along with this? So I guess what Goling is saying is some of the kind of more technical advances that have been sort of released in these last few years, chain of thought, reasoning, that we are sort of essentially scaling them over time, and Grok is helping us to scale them. One of the things I'm really curious to get your opinion on is, I guess I would go back to my central question, which I started this with, which is, are we on a hype train, or is there something that you think is very special about this model that we haven't seen so far in some of the other reasoning models like O3 and O4, other than the sort of obviously incremental changes in the benchmarks?
Yeah, I think for a majority of the practical use cases of the people here, they're not going to see much influence yet.
Yeah.
And so we just had like 2 chats about pragmatism, and this is kind of not that. But what this is about is like Elon making a bet on, we're going to make a base model, a foundation model that's really, really good, and then over the next few months, you just have to attach arms and legs to it to make it more agentic, to basically make it cheaper, and that's when we'll actually see like, this model will be useful in 8N to do complex tasks. right? So that's what's going to happen over the next 2 months. Is like this model is now going to get distilled, and people are going to, find ways to make it cheaper, etc.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to, just...
Yeah. So I think I wanted to kind of like paint a picture between... this is another picture of like where Grok is versus everyone else. This is like how intelligent the model is versus the price that it costs, right? So like previously it took a lot of work to get to that same level of reasoning capability, and they've been able to decrease that price as well, which is really, really important. I wanted to just talk about like, we mentioned test time compute, or the ability to think. What's really interesting is like, there's this paper called The Better Lesson. And if you have some spare time, I would recommend reading it. It's just like a blog. But The Better Lesson is like, researchers have had to confront the fact that like, the more you let the architecture roam free, and the more you get away from kind of being in the loop or training the AI, the better it gets. So for example, the previous paradigm was like you have a bunch of human data that's labeled, and then you take that data and you train it on an LLM. And in this new paradigm, you mathematically figure out what is good and what is not, and then you train the AI on that mathematical verification without needing a human in the loop, which is insane because, and where this tangibly like makes sense is like the AI can actually just write code, run code, and if it passes the test, it's rewarded for that. And so it can train without needing labeled human data for certain domains. And so what that means is like for the next generation of models, we're not going to be limited by this thing that everyone was talking about, which is like we've run out of internet to train on. We've run out of human data to train on. Because now we can like mathematically create data that's verifiable, and the scaling laws continue to scale.
Yep.
So I guess this is something that is not in the wider sphere of like knowledge, that this is another thing that we've just kind of like pushed past. I guess this is a breakthrough. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about removing humans from the loop. One thing that we were doing when I was in my PhD was like, okay, we're going to look at how the brain does compute. We're going to try and model that mathematically, and then we're going to try and teach AI to do it in the same way that the brain does it. But instead, what worked really good was like, oh, here's a simple learning rule. Like, here's some labeled data of what is a cat and what is not a cat, and it implicitly learns the relationship as opposed to like, mapping it to the brain. And so, as a neuroscientist, this really pisses you off because like, was all of your work in vain? And so like, this is where we're at when it comes to AI being applied to like these other fields, is that the same underlying architecture of the transformer that you mentioned earlier is now useful in anywhere where there is like a signal that goes over time. So weather is a signal that goes over time. Like brain activity is a signal that goes over time. And so the transformer architecture is really good at like learning the relationship of that signal and then predicting that signal. So, we've had like all this years of like decades of technological research, but we can only predict the weather 10 days out. And why is that? And so like, weather prediction is now up for grabs, genomics is up for grabs, predicting brain patterns is now up for grabs. So, and then the other thing is like removing the human from the loop means that we can now actually train data without needing having that like limitation. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Thanks for sharing all this, Gerling. I guess I'm interested in the weather prediction stuff, that sounds like innocuous. How will this technology and how close are we to be able to actually accurately being able to predict the weather, let's say 100 days in advance? And what are the limitations of that?
I reckon 6 months.
Okay.
Like even NVIDIA is coming up with a world physics model, where it's trying to do like, people would have heard about it.
That's incredible. What are the things that you think from a scientific perspective are going to be happening in the next 6 months to a year with some of this technology?
That's such a big question.
I know. Yeah. Ask you all the big questions tonight. Yeah.
What about China versus US?
China versus US.
Yeah, do you think the Chinese models are up to date with that?
Yeah, I feel like they're only a couple months behind. Like they're constrained by compute, and that's an artificial constraint. Like there's already reports of them having their own fabrication facilities now, and competitive like chipsets. So I think they're only a few months behind. And what's interesting about Grok is like it doesn't have the guardrails and the governance that you see with Claude and all the other ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what like some of these tweets were about. For example, is like this is a guy from Anthropic, and it's like these guys just put a model out without telling us anything about how it was like red teamed, which is like making sure it doesn't uplift humans into making a detailed end-to-end plan on how to synthesize a biological weapon. So I guess they're just shipping this stuff, because they just want to be fast.
Yeah, and there is an API available for it as well. So I wonder whether Grok will soon become the LLM of choice for hackers and for spammers and
The user of it, so I really love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then there was another model released called Haney. But maybe people have questions.
Yeah. Does anyone want to ask questions about Grok? About what Grok for, what it can do? Steve, go on. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the short-term answer, right, is that they've announced Super Grok, and I think it's like $299 a month, I believe, and to get Grok 4, to get on the consumer app, but then you can just use OpenRouter and you can pay for it. And it's.
I honestly think a lot of these models are loss leaders. What everyone is betting on is getting enough data, human data, and label data essentially, and building attachment essentially to these models. Like they came out with a companion mode as well, where you get your AI girlfriend essentially, and like when I look at the side tab, it's quite interesting. Like you have your history, which is what ChatGPT just looks like, and then everyone has projects now.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is like now people are starting, these providers are also doing tasks, and these tasks are scheduled. Right, so they're time scheduled and they run at the same time every day. Like I have a task which like summarizes my Twitter newsfeed with all the AI updates, and then does more research on that, and then gives me that as a news report. But this is time-based. This will eventually become state-based. So if something changes in the world, do research about it and notify me. So that'll be a thing. And then files is interesting as well, right? Like because half the time I spend my time Notion and ChatGPT. And so if that becomes one product, that's really, really interesting because, now you're like owning the complete Office suite in a way.
Do you think that's not happening anyway with MCP? God, how have we gone a whole meeting without mentioning the MCP?
I think MCP is like, what RAG was last year.
Okay.
It's not going to matter soon.
Okay.
In some ways.
But I mean, it's to your point that you said, well, okay, what happens if Notion and ChatGPT becomes one product? Well, I mean, it kind of is. You can kind of connect your Notion if you connect all the pages to ChatGPT, and then you can ask it questions. You can write documents to Notion. You can retrieve information back and forth, and you can do that with any tool really that has an API. Even if it's an obscure one, and you're willing to build the MCP server for it. So I guess that was kind of my question. Is that you were posing like what happens if they become one tool, and I guess my argument is that they already are.
I mean, my bet is like these guys are fully going to replace Notion, and all three of them are going to try to do that, like Claude, Grok, and ChatGPT.
You don't think that Notion's just going to adopt AI? You think it's ChatGPT is going to try and replace Notion? I mean, they already do.
Because the way we work is like completely changing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I never write anything without the assistance of ChatGPT.
Sure, yeah.
And then I don't use the implicit like Notion AI feature.
Right.
Because
yeah.
ChatGPT has the
It's
most
better,
knowledge,
yeah.
right? So like anytime anyone offers me like an API to go and use, I'd rather just use my ChatGPT because it has the best knowledge about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're trying to do in trying to be loss leader products. Is they're trying to capture your like attachment. But that's just my take.
Interesting. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, like I'll let you guys.
Lady Joe, any HR related questions to this? Is it a HR nightmare? No censorship whatsoever. You can say whatever you want. Yeah. I don't think it's going to the office anytime soon. Somehow.
Wow, we actually got through it quite quick.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Anyone? Any last questions for Garley before we wrap up? Sean, go for it.
This all assumes that we are not in a bubble, and I think we are just in a little AI bubble where no one else thinks like us, and no one else is putting their whole life into ChatGPT and those sort of things. I went to a conference with this company called SAS, and they make accounting software, and none of their clients are using AI because they're all banks and afraid. You know,
that's so crazy.
It is true. Yeah, the amount of knowledge you can give one company by just telling them that there are different versions of ChatGPT and it's not one static product, and if they pay the $20 that they have this whole world of reasoning models is just insane.
Also the mind shift of like,
yeah.
Every time someone complains to me about like model limitations, I'm like, which month did you test that in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, like a friend of mine, she was like, oh, I stopped using it because it just told me I was like so good and like it was just sycophantic, right? And I was like, yeah, that's what happened between March and like April. And then they rolled it back, and she was like, oh, you know.
I have seen other people's ChatGPT though, and two girls that I know were getting life advice from ChatGPT, and it was giving them absolutely terrible advice, like quit your job and move to Bali.
It depends on the child.
It's nuanced, right? But it'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah. All right, well thank you very much, Garley, for preparing all of this, and for everyone for staying all the way to the end. It has been a mammoth, amazing session today. We've had, goodness me, we've had insights from researchers, we've had practical demonstrations, we've had a really, really interesting ride today, so thank you very much for staying for the full 2 hours. I appreciate you, and I will see you all next week at the same time.
Thanks for organizing.
It's like 8 hours ago here. It's 5 hours.
Thank you. Yeah, from the WhatsApp. Yeah, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. But next week, I don't know. You can't know, right? Yeah. Next week, there'll be like Grok 5 has come out. ChatGPT 5's come out. Yeah. Give me 1 minute just to stop the video.
Oh, for sure. Do you need any help with anything?